Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the Washington Redskins at the New York Jets in their Week 6 matchup, played October 18th, 2015. We're going to go over the scores and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis, starting off in the first quarter. Just about a little over 5.5 minutes in, Pierre Garçon scored on a 2-yard touchdown pass by Kirk Cousins. Hopkins hit the extra point, and the Redskins were in the lead by 7 as they put the first points on the scoreboard. But then with about 3.5 left still in the first, the Jets responded as Chris Ivory had a 1-yard touchdown run, capping off a 6-minute drive. They went 83 yards in 11 plays. Folk hit the extra point, and this game was now tied up at 7 apiece. So that was the score after 1. And in the second quarter, about 3.5 minutes in, Nick Folk hit a 35-yard field goal, and the Jets were now in the lead by 3 with the score New York 10, Washington 7. Then with a little over 2 minutes left to play before halftime, Dustin Hopkins hit a 54-yard field goal, and this game was tied up at 10 apiece. Then with just seconds on the clock before intermission, Hopkins hits a 30-yard field goal, and now the Redskins were back in the lead, this time by 3, with the score Washington 13, New York 10. So that was the score at halftime, but then in the second half, the Jets went off, scoring 17 points in the third quarter as they scored 24 unanswered points to start off the second half. And it all began 4 minutes in when Nick Folk hit a 39-yard field goal to tie the game at 13. Then a minute later, less than a minute later, Ryan Fitzpatrick would end up running the ball in from 18 yards out for an impressive touchdown run. Folk added the extra point, and it was now 20-13 New York over Washington as the Jets were back in the lead. Then about 4 minutes later, with less than 6 minutes left still in the third, Ryan Fitzpatrick connected with Brandon Marshall. He made an amazing catch, and then it resulted in a 35-yard touchdown by the time the play was over. Folk added the extra point, and it was now 27-13 as the Jets pushed their lead to 14. So that would do it for the third. And in the fourth quarter, less than a minute in, Fitzpatrick hits Eric Decker for a 2-yard touchdown. Folk adds the extra point, and it was 34-13 as the Jets now led by 21 as they scored 24 straight points after trailing by 3 to begin the half. Then with 4 minutes left in the game, the Redskins would score on a blocked punt as Rashad Ross would end up landing on it in the end zone. They were punting out of their end zone, and the Redskins end up with a touchdown. Hopkins added the extra point, and it was now 34-20 as the Redskins cut the Jets' lead to 14. But the Jets just kept pounding the ball with Zach Stacy to run out the clock, and they would bring this game to a close as the Jets are now 4-1 with the victory as they win 34-20 in this game. They're 2-1 in New York. The Redskins have not won a game on the road. They're 0-3 away from Washington. They're 2-4 on the season. So the Jets getting a big win here at home. Of course, the Redskins they're not the best team by any stretch of the imagination. They are a losing team. A team that's going to lose plenty more games. They haven't won one on the road, but still nonetheless a big victory for the Jets as they keep pace in the AFC East. They're in second place in the AFC East, one game behind the New England Patriots. And in this game, Fitzpatrick came up huge in this one. But I'll tell you, Fitzpatrick is fool's gold. I'm sorry to say, as much as you love him right now in New York, you will hate him eventually. For a long time, I was a Ryan Fitzpatrick supporter. I was like a Ryan Fitzpatrick apologist. I would always be, oh no, he's not that bad. He's actually really good. I'm telling you. But then he would always screw things up, and he would always make me regret standing up for him and sticking up for him. And eventually I was just like, you know what? This guy burned me too many times. I can no longer justify my support of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And now we see him here this year in New York with an awesome team around him. He looks like he's doing really good. But you see, even though he had the 3 total touchdowns, he still had that interception. And what that is that's just the evidence of Ryan Fitzpatrick being Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is a guy who turns the ball over no matter what. Even in a great game like this, he's still got a turnover. And when it comes down to it, if the Jets keep playing the way they're playing and they make the playoffs, wait till you see the newspapers the day after their playoff game when he has like 3 turnovers and screws it all up. It's going to happen. And there ain't nothing that anyone can do to stop it. Doesn't matter if I point it out now or not. But he did have a good game in this one, so give him his credit for the performance here in this game, as he was 19 for 26, 253 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had 4 carries for 31 yards, including that 18-yard touchdown run. That was a very impressive run by Fitzpatrick. I did not know he could move like that. Chris Ivory had an awesome game. He's been having a great season. 20 carries for 146 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 receptions for 50 yards, which gave him 196 total yards, just 4 yards shy of 200 total yards in the game. Brandon Marshall, another great game. He made some spectacular catches, especially that fingertip catch that he made. That was pretty awesome. 7 receptions for 111 yards, 1 touchdown. Eric Decker, 4 receptions for 59 yards and a touchdown. And for Washington, Kirk Cousins, 25 for 43, 196 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Morris was their leading rusher with just 11 carries for 21 yards. He also had 1 reception for 11 yards, giving him 33 total yards. Crowder was their leading receiver with 4 receptions for 40 yards. Carrier, the tight end, had 4 receptions for 39 yards. And Pierre Garçon, 5 receptions for 28 yards and a touchdown in this game. And for the kickers, Nick Folk, 2 for 3 on the field goals, 4 for 4 on the extra points. And for the Redskins, Hopkins was perfect, 2 for 2 on the field goals, 2 for 2 on the extra points. And on defense, Goldston had 7 tackles to lead the game in tackles. Jarrett had a forced fumble. This is for the Redskins. Breland with an interception and a forced fumble. And for New York, Gilchrist had an interception. Darrell Rivas had an interception. And Richardson and Wilkerson combined for a sack, as they each had a half a sack. Team stats, 22 first downs for the Jets, just 14 for the Redskins. The Jets were 7 of 14 on third down, as they converted 50% of their third downs. The Redskins, 5 of 15, just 33% on third downs. They went for it twice on fourth down, and they made it once. That's 50%. Total net yards, 474 for the Jets, 225 for the Redskins. Net rushing yards, 221 for New York, just 34 yards for Washington on the ground netted. Just an insane number right there, as the Jets rushed for 7 times as many yards. It's crazy. And passing yards netted, 253 for New York, 191 for Washington, as Cousins was sacked once for a 5-yard loss. In the penalty department, not very many. I think this was probably the game with the least amount of penalties all year, as the Redskins just penalized 3 times for 15 yards. And very impressively, the Jets only drew 1 penalty. Now that's what you call discipline right there. Todd Bowles has them playing excellent. He's doing a phenomenal job there in New York. Got to give a lot of credit to Todd Bowles. They did fumble the ball twice, though, the Jets did, and they lost both of those fumbles. And that, of course, was actually Decker and Marshall, who had good games otherwise. And when it comes to the red zone, the Redskins 1 for 3, just 33% in the red zone, and the Jets 3 for 4, 75%. They also won the time of possession, 32 minutes and 39 seconds to 27 minutes and 21 seconds for Washington. But really where it all begins for the Jets is up in the trenches, up front on the offensive line. They've been doing a tremendous job running the ball. They've been doing an excellent job of shutting down the run. And so on both sides of the ball, in the trenches, when it comes to their run offense and their run defense, the Jets are one of the best running teams in the NFL. And against the Washington team, that's actually supposed to be somewhat their forte. They've actually, even as bad as the Redskins have been the last few years, one thing that they have done good is run the ball, but not against this Jets defense. And like I said, give a lot of credit to Todd Bowles, is he really has this Jets team playing excellent. They're, I almost would say, overperforming at this point, at least from my predictions, but I know that there was a lot of people who thought the Jets were going to be a contender this year. And, I mean, you wondered with Geno going down, and you even wondered, even if he was in there, what kind of production they would get out of the quarterback. But Fitzpatrick, although he comes with turnovers, he is getting the job done. And, with the way Chris Ivory's running the ball, the way that offensive line is blocking, and with those amazing receivers that he's got to throw to with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, just for them to name the top two. And those were the two that really, they combined for, 170 yards in the game. But and then Ivory, 196 total yards. Those three guys right there are some very talented, players at the talent positions. So the Jets are a team that is very dangerous. And you saw that, they were dominant through that second half, especially. It was a close game at halftime, 3-point game, but then they scored 24 unanswered. And once they get rolling, they don't stop. Of course, Darrelle Revis, he had that interception that set up the Fitzpatrick touchdown on the ground. And so they were taking advantage of those turnovers that they got. And I thought the Jets did a really good job in this game. It'll be interesting to see how they do moving forward. They're sitting in a nice place right now at 4-1. It's a good start to the season. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend. And enjoy all the sports.